Okay, and we're rolling.
What's up, guys? It's Bands here again on another episode of Wordsmith TV on my series, A Word With You. Alright, so in this series we cover one word, we deconstruct that word, go into the origin to give you an empowering meaning. Today's word is clew. You know why? Because success leaves clues. How can we deconstruct this word and not get into the typical stuff of how success leaves clues? How can we deconstruct it and give it an empowering meaning for you to follow the crumbs, connect the dots, and ultimately lead yourself to success? Guys, I'm super excited. Let's go. Alright, so we say success leaves clues. But what is a clue? We understand it in modern day society to mean information that leads to a certain point or to a conclusion, right? Or, in a different context, insight or understanding, to have a clue. Now, go back a bit further into the origin of the word. Now, we have a Germanic and Dutch meaning where it was pronounced kluven. And later in mid-English, we then refer to as clew, which is C-L-E-W. All right. Now, what that word meant was it was a ball of thread or yarn that would lead people out of a maze. How do we go from this maze meaning to an information that leads to a point or conclusion? Here we go. So legend has it that in Greek mythology, a gentleman by the name of Theseus was tasked with killing a minotaur. Minotaur was half man, half bull. Now this creature frightened everyone, but the trick was this creature lived in the heart of a labyrinth, or what we refer to as a maze. So in order to get there, Theseus took a ball of yarn or thread and found himself all the way to the heart of the labyrinth, but led himself by leaving pieces of thread all the way to the heart, slayed the minotaur, and he threaded his way back out the maze and made it back home. How interesting is it that we had this old meaning of a ball of yarn or thread, threading your way back or threading your way out of a maze. Very similar to any level of success we want to attain, be it health, wealth, relationships, anything you can think of. You entering a maze you've never gone into before. But so many people have left a thread, have left dots for you to connect, have left crumbs for you to pick out on and lead your way to the heart of the labyrinth or the maze, to find that dragon, to find that minotaur that you want to slay, your goals, our desires, right? And that's what we mean by success leaves clues, our way to follow these threads. But how do we do this, right? How do we get to a point where we don't have to do things trial and error? We can access people, we can access information that can allow us to compress decades into days. Meaning, don't go through all the admin, don't go through all of that rut, but go straight to the heart of the labyrinth, the heart of the maze. How do we do that? I've got 4 ways. Let me show you how. Alright, so the first way to follow the threads through the maze, quite simple, very obvious, people. Go and access people who have what you want, who've done what it is that you're looking to do. Some people refer to them as mentors, getting into an apprenticeship, whatever it is. Directly go to someone who's done it. Grab a coffee with them, take them out for dinner, lunch, and ask them, literally, how did you do this? All right, I remember back in the day with myself, this is back in 2013, I was eyeballs in debt, all right? I earned money, but the day I earned my money, I was just as broke. I had debit orders flowing off my account, etc. And I got to a point where I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was sick and tired of being broke. I found at the time a guy who was I was exposed to. He was a millionaire. I sat him down, right? Walked up to him, asked him to take him out for coffee. He was more than willing. Sat him down and I showed him, here's how much I earn. Here's how much I spend. There was a major disparity. I earned this much, I was spending this much. He gave me a few pointers. He gave me pointers in terms of how to talk to my creditors, how to negotiate better interest rates on my loans, how to structure my budgeting. He said, hang on dude, you're so neat, you're so so much in debt, you don't even have to save right now. You're not in a position to save. I thought I had to save. He's like, no, get yourself out of debt first. That conversation was so invaluable at that moment in time. I could follow the thread that he had left for me. I could follow this thread as opposed to thinking I am the be-all and end-all in terms of this, right? And since then, career, even now, this YouTube channel, I follow the threads of people who've done it. But here's the trick, the stumbling block that we have with the first one. Two things, in fact. Number one, we compare ourselves where we are versus where those people are currently, as opposed to comparing ourselves now and where they were once before they got started. So if you could ask as many questions related to where you are, what did you do when you got started? What did you do when you experienced this challenge? As opposed to what they do now, because they're more proficient. They've reached a point where, right now, many things which I consider a problem aren't necessarily a problem for them. All right? So remember that. Don't get discouraged by comparing yourself with where they are now compared to where you are at the current point in time. Note to self as well. Number two, we limit ourselves based on having physical contact communication. There are many clues out there if we're looking for them. There are people all around us. There are more than enough clues. We can get clues from people who are dead or alive. And that leads me to point number two. Point number two, these bad boys right here, books. Now books I find phenomenal. Books allow you to access people who've walked the path but left it transcribed on pages that are timeless. So you can follow people dead or alive, right? Which I find incredibly valuable. And this book right here just is an example of a book where I have an autobiography that I can reference in my own space and time, no coffees, no dinners, and I can find what happens in Phil Knight's world, what happens in Richard Branson's world if those are the people you want to follow into the maze. I just love it. I can compare, I can reread, have many different shapes and forms in terms of that. When I look at the guys that have inspired me over the years, they all, or most of them, started out with books or referencing books. Tony Robbins references The Magic of Believing. Bob Proctor references Think and Grow Rich. And they say, this is where I started. I started with a book. I accessed someone who is not alive and then developed from there. It's quite interesting. Talking about Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, that's one man who has transcribed information. He was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie years ago, created a book called The 16 Laws of Success, which is later refined into Think and Grow Rich. And Andrew Carnegie basically said, I want to impart information. I want to give people this ball of yarn, this thread of how to go through the maze and follow these success principles. Number three involves this bad boy right here. Podcasts, audios, audiobooks, right? Another brilliant way to access the thread, to access clues. Who do you like? Who do you enjoy to reference as a mentor, to reference as someone that you admire? Do they have a podcast? Do they have places where they interviewed in podcasts? So I have a few guys that I follow. Tony Robbins being one, Lewis Howes being another one, Tim Ferriss again, where daily I get to have a university in my car where I just plug in a podcast and listen to all these guys on a daily basis. Or if I'm in a queue somewhere, I just whip on my headphones and bam, there we go again. I can get all the clues of what they do and their titles are just right there for me. You know, if I'm having a particular problem or I want to build confidence in a particular area, I find a podcast that is brilliant just for that moment. And it could be the most random person. Number 4, you may not be expecting this. Meditation, prayer, silence, connecting with yourself, whatever you want to call it. There's a little whisper every day, in every particular moment that says, follow your dreams, do it, don't go that way. It comes and it goes and we suppress it. That, I believe, is the biggest clue to your own success, to following your own heart. Steven Spielberg calls it the whisper in your head. There's so much chatter that goes on. What do I do? How do I get there? What, when, and how? But it's that silent whisper that you need to quiet your mind to be able to hear what it is you need to be doing, your purpose, what fulfills you the most. And we hear it all the time, but you're suppressed. You're like, but I can't make money doing this. But I can't do this. But there are people who've done it before you. And all you need to do is take a step, one step. And when you get there, you'll see a bit further. Take another step. What could that step be? The step could be the whisper saying, buy that book. Say hi to that guy. And maybe ask a question. The whisper could be, you really do like cooking and not being like doing an accounting. Whatever it is, you know your situation better than I do. But that whisper, I find to be so much more powerful. Or, combined with all the others, just makes it and amplifies the power of the thread that leads you through this maze. Listen to the whisper. All right, so in conclusion, success leaving clues, us following the threads, connecting all the dots, following the breadcrumbs, whether we do it with books, podcasts, meditation, asking someone, having coffee with them, ultimately it all leads back to people. People are all around us. Clues are all around us and within us too. All right? I was just chatting to a friend. He's like, hang on a second. All these examples just all lead to people. I'm like, exactly. Trust in yourself. Trust in your intuition through meditation. Trust in the ability for your ability to ask for help directly to someone or reference a book. There are many different ways. Ultimately, remember that any goal, any challenge is a maze. But you can surely find someone on some platform that has walked that maze and you can follow the thread. It's been another amazing episode on Wordsmith TV. Thank you so much for the people who are showing me love. Let me know what you think of this video by leaving a comment below. I'd love to hear your feedback. Like, share, subscribe. I'd really love to hear from you and grow this channel. Guys, it's been real. Remember, your words are incredibly powerful. Use them wisely. Cheers.